The trilogy, Rams versus Seahawks, NFC championship game. I mean, this is what the people wanted, right, Mark? Man, oh man, we're excited for this game. And how are the Rams going to beat the Seahawks and get back to another Super Bowl in the Sean McVay era? Me and Mark, we'll talk about that next on this Keys to Victory episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. I'm Ian. That's Mark. And if you're new to the channel and you like our content, subscribe, like the video, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of the future video. If you're on the audio only, podcast only side of things, share the audio, share the podcast, share it all, guys. It helps other Rams fans see our content. And me and Mark, we're very much appreciative of that. But I mean, we made it, everyone. Whether you're a Rams fan or you're a Seahawks fan tuning in to enemy territory, checking out our content here. We're a Final Four team. This is what the football universe wanted, Mark. And it was meant to be. Whether the game was going to be here in LA or out there in Seattle, I mean, I'm excited, man. Super excited.
Yeah, this is, you're right. I think this is what everybody wanted. A lot of people were predicting. Tom Brady said, like about a month ago, I said, these two teams need to play in the championship game. That's the game he wants to see. That's the game we all want to see. And it's going to, we got 3.5 more days here to enjoy this. And then another 3 hours of stress, of boiling stress to see what happens in this game. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And for everyone out there who, you know, was play by play watching both matchups early in the year, I mean, we'll get to those very shortly, but the amount of separation between those two games is insane. Fox and other people have been putting out a stat that Rams have scored 58 points, Seahawks have scored 57. Rams have had 830 total yards. Seahawks have had 829. Rams have had 7 touchdowns. Seahawks have had 5. It's just crazy how close the matchup is. And Mark, people are saying that this is the actual Super Bowl. Not just us. We ain't saying that. But you look at YouTube comments and other game previews. Look at the official accounts from the NFL, Instagram, Twitter X, YouTube. It seems like the football world is like, yeah, whoever wins this game is probably winning the actual Super Bowl. And it's kind of shocking that that thought is pretty unanimous outside of Seattle, outside of LA, and the Seahawks and the Rams fandom, right? Crazy.
Yeah, and there's a part of me that says that could be a bad setup for the winner of this game.
Sure.
You think they're going to cruise over the Patriots or the Broncos, but I think both these teams have the culture to get their act together after winning. But they're the two best teams, and I've seen some rankings of the likelihood to win the Super Bowl, and I saw one where the Patriots were above the Rams, and maybe it's because the Patriots have the easier path at this point to get to the Super Bowl, but these are clearly the two best teams in football, and man, it's just both these teams seem to be dialed in right now. Maybe the Seahawks more so than the Rams, even. But man, it's going to be fun. Like I say, the history of these two teams is so close, as well as this season. It's crazy the stats that these two teams share head to head.
And we'll get to the nitty gritty of stats eventually, but it's important to preface this preview episode, this Keys to Victory episode, by this fantastic tweet/post from Twitter X, Aaron Schatz, who is one of the leaders of pushing DVOA, a stat that we like a ton here at Rams Up, to help further understand how good or bad a team actually is. So he says, by DVOA, the 2026 NFC Championship game is essentially the best NFL matchup of the last 47 years. And by a
Crazy.
lot, he says. This is only the seventh playoff game between two teams over 30% DVOA. The Super Bowl between Kansas City and San Francisco of the 2019 season is the one not on this table, as he, makes a side note on that. So if you're on YouTube, you can look at this chart here, and it has it ranked from 1992 to all the different matchups in playoff history, a couple Super Bowls, a lot of divisional games, a couple of conference championships. And the important numbers are to look at the DVOA 1 and the DVOA 2 on that. So DVOA 1 is for the Seahawks. They're at a 41.2%, and the Rams DVOA is 39.9. And this is obviously separate. And then the combined is 81.1, which is why he says this is the greatest DVOA matchup ever. And for anyone out there is like, okay, and I'm not too familiar what DVOA is. What is that? What is that? Aaron's got a short little summary here. The ultra short version, DVOA measures the team's efficiency by comparing success on every single play to a league average based on situation and opponent. So it's like, hey, if you're in a 3rd and 2 in the red zone, it measures that compared to everyone else. If you're in a 3rd and 2 backed up at your own end zone, it measures that compared to the rest of the league as well. So for every scenario you can think of for offense and defense and special teams, it's basing that on average compared to everyone else. Not like PFF where there's someone, single-handedly watching a guy, grading him that way. This is very objective data. So, Mark, I mean, for that to be the case with this all-time DVOA matchup, and there's classic teams that are on here, undefeated Patriots, Seattle Legion of Boom, right? You got Super Bowl winner of the John Elway Broncos. You got MVP Packers on here with Aaron. You got Dynasty Cowboys on this list. I'm just reading a couple of them right now. To hype up, I guess, this matchup even more, the advanced metrics say this game's going to be crazy too.
Yeah, and what's interesting is when I saw this, I really wasn't surprised. If we've seen these two
Yeah.
teams, we know, man, just a scattering of great players on both rosters. So yeah, Seattle comes in with that incredible defense. The Rams with the best offense in the league, in my opinion, highest scoring offense, and yeah, and both teams are good on the opposite side of the ball as well. It's not surprising at all, but pretty impressive. And man, I'm almost going to feel bad for the Seahawks if they lose this game because they are so deserving of being in the Super Bowl against the Rams, though. So, like we say, it's a bummer that they're facing off in a conference championship. One of them's going to be done.
Yeah, it's crazy. And again, you can pause this here on YouTube, everyone, and look at this chart and kind of see the different historic DVOA matchups throughout the years. Again, there's some all-time great teams that are on this. And it's crazy that this matchup is number one since the last 47 years since DVOA has been being tracked, or at least the proper data is assembled, which is crazy. So there you go, everyone. The magnitude of this game is insane. A lot on the line, legacies, Hall of Fame resumes, potential Hall of Fame resumes for players. Incredible. But you know how we like to do it here. How about the history between these two teams, right? How have the Rams done all time? How have the Seahawks done all time against each other? So let's pull that up now. And in this, Mark, everyone, in the regular season, Seahawks have the edge. They have 29 victories to the Rams, 26 victories. But in the biggest games possible, which are playoff games, Rams are 2-0 versus the Seahawks. And Mark, do you remember the first time they played each other in the playoffs? Do you remember what team that was?
Oh man, I
And I'm
could
quizzing you
cheat
on the spot.
and
Sorry.
yeah, it's okay. I could cheat and spin ahead on the slideshow here, but it's got to be back in the 2020. I'm sorry, 2001, 2000, probably 20, 2003, 2004, somewhere in there.
Pretty good guess. It would be the 2004 St. Louis Rams facing
Okay.
off against the Seattle Seahawks in the wild card round. If you remember that season, everyone, the Rams were 8-8. They were 2-6 away from St. Louis. They did not have a good away record, but for whatever reason that year, they matched up well against Seattle and they beat them 27-20. Bolger had a good day. Hasselback with Sean Alexander for the Seahawks were the main guys on offense. And of course, that was Steven Jackson early career, where that was probably one of the few times he was having any playoff success at all, because that was the last St. Louis playoff victory, Mark. Isn't that crazy? Incredible. That was the last time the St. Louis Rams, if I said Seattle, my bad, St. Louis Rams had a playoff victory. That was it. And then up until the McVay Rams in 2018. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, and interesting. You'll get to the other game too. This game was in Seattle, so another data point in favor of the Rams. If you talk about trends, I don't know if there's a causation here, but the fact that the Rams went up there and beat them in Seattle is another reason to give us a warm fuzzy about this game, perhaps.
Yeah. So, the greatest show on turf era officially closed after that victory. And then the dark days began after that. And Mark, do you remember? I'm sure you do. The next time Seahawks and Rams played each other in the tournament?
That was the D Will game. I call that the Terry Bradshaw game. And a lot of that stuff just sticks with me. And a lot of people probably forget it, but I'll just never forget him before the game saying it's going to take a miracle for the Rams to go up there and beat Seattle. And a guy that, hey, Terry, you're a great football player, but some of your analysis is just so far off. The Rams, people just assume in given years where the Seahawks seem to be the stronger team and the Rams maybe not so much. And then you look at the history between these two teams and to think that the Rams have no chance of going into Seattle and winning that game. That was a D. Will interception after DK Metcalf complained about not getting the ball. And Jared Goff came off the bench, actually, right? Had a big day. Late touchdown to Robert Woods sealed it, if I remember correctly.
Correct. I mean, it started out where John Wolford got concussed like immediately into that first quarter as Jared Goff got benched, right? The thumb was the excuse why he wasn't playing, but it came out later after that season concluded that no, they gave up on Goff, which of course led to the Stafford trade later that playoff season, which is crazy, not too long after, a couple weeks later, basically. So in that matchup, everyone, D. Will had the pick six on the screen, which was fantastic. Cam Akers ran wild. Goff was efficient, didn't throw the ball a ton. He, had that game-winning touchdown, I guess you could call it, or a game-sealing touchdown to Robert Woods. The number one defense for the Rams was everywhere. Aaron Donald was harassing Russell Wilson. And, hey, again, a playoff victory in Seattle. And I get it. No crowd that time. It was the COVID season, et cetera, et cetera. But pretty funny, though, Mark, that the two times they've played each other have been in Seattle, have been where the Seahawks were favored in both those matchups, the 04-05 game and then this 2021 game not too long ago. And the Rams came out victorious and played better, and they got it done. So there's your playoff history, everyone. And
yeah, and I think one
history's on our side.
I was going to say one difference is, which makes me a little uncomfortable, is it seems like a lot of people were picking the Rams this time, which I'd rather they weren't. I don't know, but I think in those previous two games, there was a lot of love going Seattle's way. And this game seems to be a lot of people thinking the Rams can pull this off.
Yeah. And man, I just did not realize that the only two times they played each other was in Seattle. And that's pretty fun. I was trying to think about it earlier before.
And by the way, I don't know if you're going to get to it at some point, but they are separated across their history by 1 point as well.
I know it's incredible. It's just this rivalry has really blossomed, and McVay has had a good record overall against them throughout the years, and it's funny that it took a lot of those victories to kind of catch up and get close.
I think it's think it's 1,223 points to 1,222, something like that.
That's incredible. But how about the last 5 times Rams have faced the Seattle Seahawks? And hey, dating back to 2023, they got that victory. 2024, they got that overtime big, Stafford to Demarcus Robinson in Seattle. Speaking of another overtime game, crazy, right?
All
And
right.
then the game where it was Garoppolo and the backups almost had a comeback victory against their starters to end the season. And then, hey, beat them wearing the rivalry's uniform. And then we had the overtime historic choke job, let's just call it what it was, in the Thursday night game earlier this season. So Mark, it's crazy that a lot of these games have gone to overtime. I think when McDonald was the coordinator, shout out to Jake Ellenbogen, he pointed this out that when we played the Ravens a few years back, when he was coordinating them, that was an overtime game. Obviously, Duvernay got us in the punt return, but all these times against McDonald, these games have gone down to the wire, man, when he's been the defensive guy leading the charge there. But as we pull up the week 11, the week 16 games that occurred, right? The week 11 game was a defensive battle. Donald had the 4 INTs. Rams offense was struggling against the Seattle defense for large portions of the game. Then the week 16 historic collapse. I mean, Stafford had 3 touchdowns, almost 500 yards of passing. It was the most total yards in the McVay era ever. That game, I forgot exactly, 556. My memory serves me right on that total. Number one in the McVay era, the most productive offensive day ever, which is crazy in terms of total yards. Darnold had the 2 picks, but had the 2 touchdowns, a 2-point conversion. Kenneth Walker screwed us on a multiple big runs. Puga's career high, right? 12 catches, 225 receiving yards. Incredible. And Jigba and the other guys. And obviously that was a controversial. Charbonnet picked up the should have been failed 2-point conversion. That's still a bunch of bullshit, by the way. It still irritates me that happened. But Mark, these games have been down to the wire. And who knows what we're going to get this time, but I'm expecting another game just like these.
Yeah, I would argue, I've said this before, that that week 11 game, if Darnold just takes the sacks instead of there was a couple of really ill-advised passes there. He
Yeah,
takes a couple of sacks, Seattle wins that game. As crazy as that
probably.
seems. And then and week
Yeah.
16, at week 16, we they had no business. Rams had no business losing that game. So you could easily flip those 2 games, or Rams could have easily swept both. Seahawks could have easily swept both. But I think the cumulative answer from these 2 games is I think the Rams overall outplayed them a bit. Just some crazy stuff in both games, though. And this has been true of their history. I can think of over the course of the last 20 years, a lot of games pop into my mind of crazy, crazy games, and a lot of them are Rams Seahawks games. So these teams just have a really rich history of crazy games. And I think Seahawks fans and Ram fans have had their moments to celebrate and their moments to cry themselves to sleep. It's just the way this rivalry has gone.
Yeah, there's been a lot of just crazy endings in these games with Seattle in the McVay era, at least. And obviously the playoff games, even dating back to St. Louis's last playoff victory, all nail biters. And I don't expect any different. Whether it's high scoring, which I think that's unlikely this time around for a trilogy, and first time where it's defensive. Who knows what we're going to get, but I think it's going to be close. I agree, Mark, for sure. And nail biter, nail biter, nail biter. But how about a eagle eye view, or I guess a hawk eye view of the Seahawks season? Finished 14-3, best record in the NFL. As their only loss was San Fran week 1, week 5 against Tampa, where they had the throwback game shootout, where they wore the creamsicles, in Seattle or the classic blue and silver. They had a loss against us, and that was it. Right. And from then on, been going on a tear. Their defense has been historic for DVOA. Their offense has been productive and efficient. Jackson Smith and Jigba killing it. And then, of course, the divisional round game last weekend, or this past weekend, excuse me, was, I didn't realize this, and shout out to the NFC West Roundtable guys for pointing this out. It's a good show. Shout out to if you want to be in tune with NFC West stuff, that's a good program to watch on YouTube. Jesse, who is the 49er guy on that show, said that Seattle 41 ass kicking of the Niners 41-6 was the worst divisional loss for any team in NFL history. That's
Wow.
incredible. Incredible. You think maybe there have been some other really bad divisional round losses, but according to him, he's a 49er guy. I don't think he's just saying that like, oh, it's the worst 49ers loss, which it probably is. In terms of like total yardage, just overall performance, all this stuff, it was the biggest ass kicking ever. So that's pretty incredible. But we all thought the 49er black magic would run out eventually. They were just too banged up. Because, I mean, look at the stats, Mark. Everyone here on YouTube, you can pause and you really look at them, but we'll go through them real quick together here. I mean, Donald only threw for 124 yards, 12 of 17. You didn't have to do anything. Nothing. He had a touchdown, of course. Kenneth Walker, 3 touchdowns on the ground with 116 rushing yards. That made a big difference. Cooper Kupp led the day with 60 receiving yards. DeMarcus Lawrence had a sack. Witherspoon had the most tackles with 7. So it was just a complete dismantling of the Niners offense. I mean, look at when Purdy's the main passer with only 140 yards and the leading rusher with only 37. I mean, they were screwed. They were screwed from the get-go. Tongus is your leading receiver, more for check down stuff. They got thoroughly smacked, Mark, and Seattle's playing good right now.
Yeah, and it's really a warning sign for the 49ers in the future of this team. I know they're banged up. I know they've had a lot of injuries, but this showing was fairly pathetic. And I don't know where they go from here. They got a great coaching staff. They'll figure some things out, but I don't know how much weight we should put on. How great is the Seahawks team, or how bad was this 49ers team on this day? I don't know, but not to take anything away from Seattle. But if you looked at those offensive stats, you'd probably think, if you looked at all these stats, you'd probably think, maybe, 20-10 or 20-6 or something like that. But this game just got, the the kick return didn't
Oh,
help
yeah, let's
right
not
off
forget
the,
about that. That
right
damn
off the
Rashid
get.
Shaheed.
Yeah.
Damn it, Les Snead and co. We said to trade for that man. And now look
Yeah.
at these are probably the biggest worry of this entire game. One of them, at least, depending on how you want to slot them in 1A, 1B, 1C.
Yeah.
But so be it. It was a great trade for them. And man, this team is tough and they look like a number 1 seed team for sure. So let's get into it, Mark. I mean, the Seahawks roster, I know many of you are familiar, so we won't spend a ton of time going through player by player like we would for an opponent we haven't seen, in a calendar year, season to season, right? But I think it's good to highlight real quick the top performers from the regular season, right? Sam Darnold had over 4,000 passing yards. That's very good. Kenneth Walker had over 1,000 with Charbonnet over 700. That's a good one, too, in terms of production, right? And Jigba had the 1,793. Cooper and then AJ Barner all were in the 500s. That just shows how much Jigba was eating up those, yardage, which, he was an all-pro player this year. Ernest Jones, 60 solo tackles when Eamon Worry and Witherspoon, the secondary guys, coming in second and third on that. Byron Murphy was 7. Nwosu was 7 sacks. Leonard Williams was 7 sacks. So that's a bunch of trench guys who are all getting to the quarterback and getting them down. That's pretty impressive, in my opinion. And then Ernest Jones, the leading interception man for them with 5, Kobe Bryant with 4, and then Eamon Worry with 1. So, Mark, from the glance, they're top performers. The one that just sours me the most is just Ernest Jones. Like, I'll never get over the handling of that trade where they send him to Tennessee. And then, of course, he ended up in the West again with Seattle, a captain, an all-pro this season. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Maybe one day we'll find out what all went down there and the reasoning behind it. But, obviously the Rams wanted to move on from him in a bad way. So, they did what they had to do. But yeah, him ending up on a Seahawks team, one of the best defenses in the league, doesn't make me feel very, very good about that whole situation. But yeah, they're good on all levels on defense, and Sam Darnold has been very efficient. JSN, I mean, take your pick for the best receiver in the game. The top 2 are in this game. And last time we played, we were able to limit JSN in the first half, and then he kind of went off in the second half.
Yeah.
So we got to figure that out. But yeah, they're a couple of castaways here that hopefully won't make an impact in this game.
Please, for our sanity.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's get into the nitty gritty of the offense. As if you see here, everyone on YouTube, if you're tuning along, a red dot means they've been a Pro Bowler. A green dot means they've been an All Pro. So Sam Darnold, questionable. He's still dealing with the oblique. He's going to play. We all know that unless something catastrophic happens from now to the game, him getting in and out of bed or at practice, right? That's pretty much it. Drew Lock, the backup, Cable. Kenneth Walker will be the main guy, but no Charbonnet this time, everyone. Their main third down running back who is best in pass protection for that Seattle offense. Not that Kenneth Walker can't do it, but no Charbonnet. Is George Holani going to be activated off IR? Is Cam Akers, speaking of Cam Akers, going to be elevated from the practice squad? I'm sure we'll find out that Saturday before game time what that backup running back plan is going to be. But, I mean, Mark, we know it's going to be heavy Kenneth Walker. He's been running well for a while now. Makes sense. Jackson Smith and Jigba voted first team All-Pro this season. He's been a Pro Bowler and is a Pro Bowler again. No shock. Old friend, Super Bowl champion, Triple Crown winner, Super Bowl MVP, Cooper Kupp, former Pro Bowl man, All-Pro. Rashid Shaheed really hasn't been activated a ton on their offense, Mark, but he's one of their main guys. I always have to worry about him. And it's not necessarily attacking downfield. It's the jet sweeps. It's the end around receiver run plays. It's the misdirection trick plays with him that could get tricky. Then you got, of course, A.J. Barner, Eric Sobert. You got Jake Bobo, Derek Young. No Torrey Horn. He's still on IR. We'll see if maybe he gets activated, but I haven't seen any positive updates from him. He was a good player before he got hurt. And then you get to Robbie Oates, or Oates, if I don't say his name, my apologies. Their fullback. He's questionable in the neck, but it seems like he's going to play, Mark. Then you got Charles Cross, Gray Zabel, Jalen Sundell, Anthony Bradford, Abraham Lucas. And we'll get to the injury report further, but it seems like Cross is going to play too, Mark. A good offense overall, just looking at the players' names, right?
Yeah, the offensive line is really improved. I remember last year they were, I think, rated as one of the worst in the league, and they drafted Zabel, and they've really solidified that. The one thing that this offense is, they got to be feeling really bad about the fact that between the loss of Torrey Horton a while back and Zach Charbonnet, those guys accounted for 17 touchdowns between the two of them. Now Horton's been out for a while. So that's a concern for this offense, and I think Holani, if he's activated, he can fill that Charbonnet role, inside the 15-yard line and third down runs. But still, it's got to hurt to have Charbonnet and Horton out at this point in the season.
Most definitely. And to your point of the production, I mean, good players, but they've still been churning out points and playing well, right, everyone? So if you notice here on YouTube, I got the stats, the regular season stats for Seattle. Points per game, they finished third, 28.4, elite. Yards per game, they're ranked 7th with 351.4. Rushing yards per game, ranked 10th. And remember, we pointed that out, Mark, at least in that first and second matchup, that they were not running the football well at all. But a lot of games since Kenneth Walker got us in that primetime Thursday night game, they have been running the ball really well since. So they cracked the top 10. They're ranked 10th with 123.3. Passing, 8th with 228.1 per game. And then the sacks, the 4th least sack team or quarterback-led team. They've only given up 27. Pretty dang good, and that's a credit to the O-line you pointed out earlier how much improved they've been. Now, here are the stats that could benefit and hopefully will benefit the Rams in this championship game coming up. Turnovers. They have 28 giveaways, which is the second most in the NFL. Sam Darnold has thrown picks, a lot to us. He's fumbled. Running backs, receivers have gotten the balls, knocked out when they're trying to get yards after catch or extended yards on the ground run game. So they cough it up, Mark, and that benefits us greatly. And then red zone percentage, they're not the best either, though. They are ranked 21st in terms of scoring a touchdown when they're down in the red zone. They only score 54.24% of the time, which again is 21st out of 32. So there's a couple aspects here, Mark. Looking at the classic stats, that should hopefully benefit the Rams. Turnovers and the red zone percentage, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to come down to is red zone and turnovers. Not to
Yeah.
give away like how I'm viewing this game.
I know.
We'll talk about later, but
Mhm.
yeah, the red zone issue and the turnovers is going to be a big deal in this game. I don't think weather's going to be an issue as far as turnovers go, not from what I'm seeing, but I just have a feeling, it comes down to Darnold being able to take care of the ball for this Seahawk team. If he we've seen what he's done against the Rams in his last 3 games, I guess it is, between the Vikings game and the 2 games this year. Not a good stat line for Sam Darnold, so got to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, definitely. But in general, everyone, an elite offense, they've always thrown it well this season. Now they're running it well, and that helps Sam Darnold. That helps this O line, helps the whole flow be balanced, and it's going to be a challenge for sure the way they're playing right now. But as we scoot over to the defense, everyone, this defense is stacked in terms of DVOA. Some of the best in history for a defense. Some metrics better than the Legion of Boom defense that is historic itself, which is incredible. So, how about this defense, everyone? DeMarcus Lawrence is one of their D tackles. He's a former Pro Bowl man. You got Byron Murphy, who's tied in leading sacks with other guys at the nose tackle spot. You got Leonard Williams, Pro Bowl. He was a second team All Pro this season. He's playing on fire. And you got Derek Hall, who injured Kevin Dotson. He's a good player as well. We'll get to that later. You got Drake Thomas. Ernest Jones was an All Pro this season, second team. Still fantastic. You got Nwosu, who's tied in sacks with everyone else with 7. Then you got Witherspoon, who was an All-Pro this season, got voted in. He's a former Pro Bowl man himself. He's been playing elite. You got Kobe Bryant, Julian Love, who's been a Pro Bowl man. You got Josh Jobe, Nicky Manwari, who's Rookie of the Year defensive candidate, in my opinion. And then you got Reek Woolen, who's on the bench, who's been a Pro Bowl guy before. It's ridiculous. And then let's not forget about Jaron Reed. You got Tyrese Knight that could fill in. Boye Mafe, you'll see come in, right? Maybe Ty Okada if he's needed. Mike Morris, you'll see some Brandon Peely. So I mean, the starters legit, but they got guys that could rotate in if needed that can kick ass as well, Mark. So just looking at the players' names and the resume, it's a tough group, isn't it?
Oh yeah, this is the best defense in the league, and man, I was so bummed when they drafted Wari. We talked about him. He
Yeah,
is
we like him a ton.
he's a Swiss Army knife, a little bit like Quentin Lake, but I think he's a more dangerous player, shall we say? Coming up and
Sure,
hitting
yeah.
people, and Newuso out of Carson, Narbonne High School, I think, in USC.
Mm-hmm.
So they, yeah, it's a. What more can you say about this defense? And it's amazing that we put up 500 plus yards on them. That's what's really incredible. They probably looked at a lot of tape on that game and figured some things out. So don't expect that to happen again against this defense. But
Yeah.
they can be had. This is the matchup: Rams offense against this defense, right? That's what it's going to come down to.
Yep, the number one ranked offense in terms of points per game against the number one ranked defense in terms of points per game given up. So as we go through the stats here, everyone on YouTube, you can follow along. Number one, only giving up 17.2 points per game in the regular season, of course. And well, they held Niners to 6 last playoff game, so even better than their average. Yards per game, 6th best, only giving up 285.6 per game. Rushing, 3rd best, only giving up 91.6 per game. Passing, 10th best, 193.9, but a lot has to be skewed because they're shutting down the run so well, so teams are just forced to throw on them to get anything going. Red zone percentage, they're the 5th best, only giving up a touchdown 50% of the time, top 5. Sacks, tied for 6th with the Rams with 47. So both teams have gone the quarterbacks down equal amount of times. I thought that was pretty interesting in terms of regular season, of course. And then turnovers, they have 25 takeaways, which is the 6th best in the NFL. So the classic stats, Mark. I mean, not a lot you could say, "Ooh, they don't do that well." I mean, they're elite. The DVOA has them as like one of the all-time ass-kicking defenses. Again, up with the Legion of Boom, with other historic groups, which is insane. And this is going to be a tough challenge. I know many Seahawks fans say, "Hey, you know, Julian Love and Nike Minwari and other guys got hurt in that Thursday night game." And again, that was the fourth quarter. Rams are already scoring points on them at that point. But of course, it helped that they were out. But, on the flip side of that, right? No Devontae Adams, your guy, or you're not your guy, but Seahawks guys, Derek Hall, who they, argued that he didn't step on Kevin Dotson. Dotson got hurt earlier in that game. And, there was some give and go between two teams and their starters and important players who weren't around. So we'll see this time around, as it looks like both squads are going to be, fully healthy, other than us, Akella Witherspoon, of course, who didn't play particularly in that game because he was inactive. So just want to shout that out real quick, Mark, because I know a lot of Seahawks people are like, "Oh, you guys looked out that a lot of our secondary got banged up in that game." Well, they played 3.5 quarters getting beat. Let's not act like they weren't in there from the first snap, right?
Yeah, and Kevin Dotson, I think he went out in the first half, right? I
Yeah, like
believe he
first
did.
first
And
quarter for sure, I
yeah,
believe.
and
Yeah,
and he's our best offensive lineman, hands down.
yeah,
So some might say Larry Jackson, but I'll take Kevin Dotson.
yeah.
Yeah, so you lose we basically lost our best offensive lineman, and we didn't have our highest scoring, our guy that ended up the season with 14 TDs, Devontae Adams. So yeah, we feel your pain, not so much.
Oh, we understand it, but let's not act like that was the deciding factor for why,
Oh,
Stafford, threw for almost 500 yards. Let's be real for a second. But regardless, elite group, elite group. But how about the specialist, Mark? Ugh. We all know the Rams are not very good on special teams for the last handful of years, and they're ranked 32nd, 31st, 29th, 30th, depending on which metric you look at. But they're bottom five, not even a debate, probably the worst. And of course, Jason Myers is a Pro Bowl kicker, Michael Dixon, a Pro Bowl punter, and an all pro punter this year, I believe, second team. And then Rashid Shaheed, a former Pro Bowl all pro man himself in punt and kick return duties. So an elite specialist group, Mark. Myers is able to kick from 60 yards. He's done it before. He had a shot in that first game back in week 11 where we were all holding our breath that he would whiff. And luckily, it was too far, missed it. But he's money. Dixon will get the punts within the red zone, will have an opposing offense starting out bad. And then this damn Rashid Shaheed torched us, burned us, I should say, in the return game last time around. That sparked their comeback. Opening kickoff against the Niners in the playoff divisional game. I just, please, of Almighty God, get the ball away from him, Mark.
yeah, Dixon is one of the best, has been for a decade.
Yeah,
And so what the Rams need to do is they need to kick it out of the back of the end zone in this game. I mean,
that's there's
I
no way
guess
in
you
it.
could mess around with the dirty kicks, but I would just kick it out of the back of the end zone, and hopefully we don't have to punt deep out of our own end. If we're not punting deep out of our own end, just kick it out of bounds, get it inside the 30, and just shut down that return game completely. The worrisome, what you have to worry about is if the Rams do a 3-and-out from their own 23-yard line or something, and
Yeah.
now we got to worry about protection and Shaheed returning the punt at the same time. So that's a ideal situation for the Seattle return game for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, it's an elite squad, everyone. Special teams, defense especially, and then they got fantastic players on offense, to be honest about it. So I mean, with that, Mark, the head-to-head stats, right? If you want a view from a top, I should say, about the Seahawks offense versus Rams defense, Rams offense versus Seattle defense in terms of the basic stats, right? But how about that DVOA we talked about earlier, right? So Rams offense ranked first in everything. And one more time for you, in case you're like, Ian, what is DVOA again? The ultra short version. DVOA measures a team's efficiency by comparing success on every single type of play to a league average based on the situation and opponent. So again, it measures all the first down scenarios, all the second, third, fourth downs, and then how you handle that, how other teams handle that, and it compares it all together and it ranks you accordingly. Long story short, the ultra short version. So if we go back to what the Rams are ranked and what Seattle's ranked, Rams first, and first, total offense, passing, rushing. And then you match it up with Seattle, total defense first, passing first, rushing first. And then Seattle on offense ranked 10th in total, 5th in passing, and 12th in rushing. Still good. And then Rams defense, 4th in total defense, passing 4th, rushing 5th. And again, this is compiling the entire regular season, sample sizing all of it together. So pretty evenly matched. And again, one more time for you for the stat from Aaron, who is one of the DVOA masterminds. The NFC Championship game is essentially the best NFL matchup of the last 47 years by a lot, according to DVOA. Incredible, Mark.
Yeah, what more do you need to say? It's going to be it's a clash of titans really in the NFL right now, the top two teams in the National Football League. A lot of people have been saying this for weeks, and here we are. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
You can't take it, and you know the Rams defense has at times been a little lackluster, but they've had their moments. And sometimes I wonder about the Seattle offense, how much of their success is due to their incredible defense. That's just how it works sometimes. But overall, you take these two rosters as a whole, probably the two best rosters in the National Football League.
Yeah. I think that's pretty dang fair for sure. And how about, you can say, Ian, okay. But how about some other fun stats that are, you could say, in our favor? As if you follow me on Twitter X, Rams_Ian, you can see all my fun thoughts and content there as well. I like to keep track of uniform stuff, Mark. I think everyone knows I'm a uniform junkie. Rams or just all NFL uniforms. It's fun to talk about it. And Rams are wearing the white jersey, modern white jersey, royal pants, royal socks, like they've been wearing the last two playoff games for us. And if you did not know, Rams are 13-9 all time. They are 5-0 this season and 2-0 in this playoffs, 2-1 all time in the playoffs when wearing that modern white jersey plus blue pants and blue socks. So Rams have been undefeated this season when they wear that specific combo, everyone. So that's another fun stat for you. Usually the Rams don't release these uniform closet, what they're wearing for a game until like Thursday, Friday, but they dropped it pretty early today. So that's why we have this stat for you. And again, if you like those stats, follow me on Twitter X. And not just this season, future seasons, I'll always keep track of all that. It's just fun to see what they do. So that's in our favor, Mark, uniform gods.
Yeah. There's a lot of data points that point towards a potential Rams victory for sure, and this is just another one.
There's another one outside of, hey, Rams never lost to Seattle in the playoffs in Seattle, by the way. That's in case you forgot from earlier. So that, and then, Mark, I think it's important to also talk about the refereeing, as there's a lot of metrics for that. And shout out to NFL Ref Stats from Twitter X. They do a lot of great research, man. And the NFC Championship game, they put out the officiating crew cheat sheet. And they say divisional home teams are 20-27 and 16-31 in head referee Clay Martin's career, including 2-4. And I forgot what the SU and the ATS means in 2025. Excuse me for not remembering that.
Straight up and against the
straight up. Yeah, you're right. There you go. Thank you for holding it down there. But I guess the most important one out of all that is that the Rams are 7-0 with Clay Martin being the head referee, including 3-0 as a divisional road team. One game at Seattle, a la the 2020 game, and then 2 at San Fran, which is pretty crazy, which I think that's, I don't know, the 2 at San Francisco. Oh, I guess the regular season games. I'm tripping on that. Yeah, makes sense. So, however, playoff home teams are 5-0. with Martin as the head referee. So this is Martin's crew ranks third in offensive holding and is joined by Alex Moore officials. The crew ranked number 2 for, offensive holding in 2025. So long story short, everyone, Clay Martin's our ref. Good things happen. But on the flip side of that coin, the home teams in the Martin, officiating days, they're undefeated. So which one's going to give on this, Mark, right?
Yeah, and you don't know. I mean, these are trends that, a lot of people love these trends, and I just never know what to make of them if there's
I know.
really a cause effect. But they seem most of these trends that we identify seem to hold true. Now, a lot of trends Rams at Chicago did not. So, man, who the heck knows?
I know who the heck knows for sure, but I think the second most, probably the number one important one outside of Rams being undefeated with Martin calling our games, is that they rank third in offensive holding, right? So it's going to be a game where trench warfare is going to be heavy. 2 D lines with a lot of talent, a lot of production. Which O line is going to get snagged for a drive killer, right? Our O line, their O line, what's going to happen on that? Because that crew, based on this, has a history of throwing those flags for holding on offense. So that's something to keep in mind there, everyone. So I just want to share those fun stats, uniform stats, referee stats. I think they're important for a championship game, right, Mark? But how about the injury report, everyone? Who's going to play as of today? Things could change as the week goes on. We know it's still earlier in the week, but it seems like most guys are pretty settled into who's going to be there or not. So let's pull that up now. And for the Rams, nothing too crazy. Quentin Lake, Sean McVay said, was dealing with an illness. They said it's hope, they hope and they feel optimistic that it's nothing crazy. It's that wintertime bug everyone has. So they're keeping him away from the team. Hopefully he feels better, please. And Byron Young, he's had knee soreness the whole year. He didn't practice. More precautionary, not that they're worried about it. He should be ready to go. And, fun fact, Byron Young leads the NFL playoff run of all the teams that have played playoff games this year in terms of pressure for next-gen stats. So he's ultra important. He's out there. Of course, we appreciate Josiah Stewart and Jeswan Johnson being out there doing well rotational, but we need Agent Zero, right?
Is that, do you know if that's a pressure rate or pressure total? Because he's
pressure
missed
rate.
some. Yeah, okay. Because he's
yeah.
missed some. He actually missed a significant number of snaps. Against the Bears.
Pressure percentage, pressure rate.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Emmanuel Forbes got his shoulder banged up. He was limited. And then Josiah Stewart with a knee. He was in full. So, I mean, from the Rams side of things, Mark, other than the guys who are on IR, Rob Havenstein, Akella Witherspoon, and it seems like those guys are unlikely to return at all. The team is pretty healthy.
Yeah, pretty surprising, considering, they're the ones that had to play in that wild card round and they're the ones that had to play in some frigid weather, which, by the way, I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to be foreboding, but I asked ChatGPT, what are the challenges of playing in cold weather? And they said one of the things is you're really vulnerable to injuries, muscle injuries, soft tissue injuries when playing in cold weather. And the Rams came out of that game pretty healthy too. So, yeah, it's pretty incredible. You think this would be flipped, this injury report between these two teams?
Yeah, I know. Then Seattle, on their hand, again, they had a bye. They played this one game. They got a lot of guys dealing. They're nicked and knacked up a little bit to some degree. But as we start at the top of Seattle's injury report, Charles Cross, their main starter, with his foot, did not practice. Josh Jones and Amari Knight, I think, they both did not practice as well. And that's all 3 of their left tackles did not practice. So who was getting reps today? I'm sure it was a walkthrough, so it's not that serious. But, I mean, who was getting the mental reps with the first team unit, right? So that's something to keep an eye on. And I think, Mark, you and I, we expect Cross to suit up. And in a championship game, he's going to try to play, right? And play.
Yeah, and, he probably will play. Now, if he's less than 100%, that could still be a pretty big deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, all their left tackles did not practice today. Pretty interesting. Keep an eye on that. Then you got Bryce, one of the guards. He was limited. You got Sam Darnold with the oblique, limited. DeMarcus Lawrence on a rest day. Nwosu with a hamstring was limited. Robbie Hoots, the fullback with a neck, was limited. And Jigbo was on rest. Leonard Williams was on rest. Elijah Arroyo, who was on IR, he's practicing. Do they activate him off IR to be a part of the tight end rotation? we shall see what happens with that. Obviously, he had the knee injury earlier in the year. He was full. George Holani, we talked about earlier, IR guy with a hamstring. He was in full. Do they activate him off IR? It seems like those two guys are likely, right, Mark? Tyrese Knight, the linebacker, his shoulder was full, and then Chaz Surratt was full with his ankle. So those two IR guys, Arroyo and Holani, they'll play an important role if they are activated off injured reserve and they get going, Mark. So they're full participants. It'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, Halani, he'll fill that Charbonnet role for sure if he's able to go. And Royal, he's that tight end. A lot of folks, a lot of Ram fans wanted him over Ferguson. So we'll keep an
Yeah.
eye on that over the next 2 or 3 years. But AJ Barner's a solid tight end. Having Arroyo available would just be a little icing on the cake for them. Just one more guy for the Rams to worry about. But hey, I'll talk about tight ends here in a second. It's something the Rams defense is going to have to be concerned about in this game, whoever goes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And the more weapons for Darnold than offense, the better for them, and the more challenge it'll be for us. So we'll keep an eye on Arroyo and Halani, but I expect at least Halani to be activated to fill that backup running back role for sure, everyone. So there you go. There's the injury report. And it's time, everyone. The keys to victory to beat these Seahawks and get the Rams back to a third Super Bowl in the McVay era. What an incredible thing to say out loud. And we went through the roster. We went through previous matchups, the last 5 games, the historic playoff games that have occurred in this crazy rivalry that's really been brewing for a while now. And offense, defense, special teams, all the stats, the DVOA, the historic nature of that, everything. And now we got to give you our opinion on how the Rams are going to handle business and get to another Super Bowl, man. Let's go. So, Mark, I'll start with you. What are the keys to victory on offense for the Rams to have success against this historic DVOA advanced metric Seattle defense who are kicking ass? What do we got to do, man?
Well, the first thing I got to say is I'm guessing they're not going to go 13 personnel as much as they have been in the past. They're actually a big dip last week. And, we talked about it I think the last time they played, where the Rams 13 personnel does not force the Seahawks to make an adjustment, the adjustments that it forces other teams to make. The Seahawks roll with their regular defense. So I don't know if the Rams are going to run 13 personnel or not, but whether they do or not, they got to lean on the run game more. We all saw what they did last week, and in the end, it ended up working, but it was still kind of odd that they got away from the run when they should have. But it's really about just finishing in the red zone, whatever it takes. Devontae's will be available. Obviously, this time he wasn't last time. Puka giving Puka little jet sweeps. Kyron's still got that nose for the end zone. Just going to finish drives. They're not going to have a bunch of red zone opportunities against this defense. Just when you get into the red zone, you gotta finish the drives. That's really what it comes down to. How they get it done, I'm not going to predict. They got all the tools, they got all the guys, they got their offensive line is rolling. Just finish the drives. We need touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, that's all fair points, all makes sense to me, and couldn't agree more on that. And what are my keys to victory, everyone? This is multi-layered, and I'll try to keep it as simplistic as possible. McVay, get your damn head out of your ass and run the damn football and be balanced. Right? I think that's the easiest one, and I'll be more clear on all that, of course. But he cannot, this group on offense cannot have another performance like they did against the Chicago Bears. If they do, they are going to get a convincing loss and be embarrassed probably on Championship Sunday. Let's be honest about it. Because the Seattle Seahawks defense is good. They are historic for a lot of these advanced metrics. And I know I keep saying that, but I preface that to say the Rams are pretty damn good too. And they just got to get out of their own way. It feels like we say this all the time, everyone. And Mark, probably sure you're tired of me, saying this. As long as they could be balanced, as long as they could keep defenses guessing where it's not going to be 3 passes in a row to start the drive. And if they're working, then so be it. but I think the balance of not only run to pass ratio, but also formation diversity, personnel diversity, and someone on the football facility analytics for the Rams. My God, get this man the advanced stats, get this man all the stuff he needs, because it seems like we can find this info out pretty easily. All like last week, hey, the Bears don't defend 12 and 13 personnel well, and they don't defend the run well. And McVay did none of those things for an entire 3.5 quarters. It blows my mind. So somebody talk to that man and get him all the info he needs. And hopefully LaFleur and others could be in his ear during the game and be like, hey, you're kind of veering away for what could attack them properly. And it's silly. Isn't that silly that that's a topic, Mark? It's like, hey, follow what they don't do well and attack that. But it seems like McVay doesn't, Mark. It's frustrating.
Yeah. Hey, all he has to do is ask Chat GPT. The answers will be there, but it's really interesting because all the resources an organization like the Rams have, they have so much figured out. The scouting department, how to deal with cold weather, all these different things. So they haven't figured that quite out yet. They haven't figured out timeout usage either, in my opinion. And so, yeah, you're right. They need to figure that out. And it is amazing that I think it's a lot of it just McVay just can't help himself. Just can't help. It's not in his nature to come out and hand the ball off 3 times at the start of the second half when you might have a 10-point lead and you've been running it down their throat. And he'll just do the opposite of what makes sense sometimes.
It's frustrating. So, okay, that's the very basic version. Okay, I'll be real here, right? Outside of that, of just being disciplined and attacking their weaknesses, geez, the Seahawks defense is going to be in nickel and dime coverage probably 8 to 9 times out of 10 because they got the guys to do it. So, of course, they'll still line up in their base 3-4 with, a lot more D linemen, more linebackers. Of course. But they live and die, Mark, everyone, in that nickel and dime package, meaning they got 6 DBs, they got 5 DBs, and they're good at defending the run, guarding the pass, and why not? Why not live in that? So with that is, okay, what are they running out of that more times than not? Yes, they can run man-to-man coverage, of course. Yes, they can do all the different types of zone. Sure. But out of all the man stuff, they like to go cover one, right? That's everyone man-to-man. You got one safety up top guarding deep and usually a linebacker in zone in the middle of the field. So there's probably going to be a lot of that going on. How can the Rams exploit that, right? In terms of zone coverage, they like to run a ton of cover 3, meaning 3 people deep. One person guarding 1/3 of the field left and right, and then one person up the middle. So there's avenues to attack that, a la the deep in or dig routes, a la the shorter kind of crook or curl, not to the far outside, but more towards the middle of the field. They do that plenty. And of course, you see a lot of cover 4 from them, which is 4 people deep. If you split the field into 4 different parts, there's someone guarding deep on all those sections, which is sometimes you'll hear me say in the film breakdowns or others say it's quarters coverage because it's 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters, right? So they do that a ton. And of course, you'll see some cover 6. We run a lot of that. You'll see some cover 2. You'll see other versions of 2-man and cover 0, which means no one's up top. But primarily, though, Mark, a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 4, and then you'll see the traditional cover 1, and they're good at it. Very, very good at it. So it's going to be, can Puka Devontae win one-on-one in those man-to-man situations? They got the ability to do it. They got to throw it well from Stafford's perspective, and then they got to catch it. It's going to be tough. They're good. In the cover 3 stuff, like I said, the ins, the deep dig routes should be money because if you pictured everyone, you got the 3 people deep, you got someone guarding in the middle short, kind of intermediate short left, intermediate short right. So there's that little, you could say, window where Stafford's really good at rifling in between people. That's going to be key and critical, in my opinion, at least in the pass coverage, which, the Rams are good at. They can do it. In the cover 4, when they drop 4 people deep, there's going to be more room underneath. Is Stafford going to be disciplined? Is the play call going to be disciplined for them to attack short and not just say, hey, we dialed up a home run hitting play here or something for 15 plus yards? Do we still have to throw it because Stafford believes in his arm and McVay believes in the play call? Or can they be patient and take the yardage underneath? I think that's going to be key and critical, at least for the passing. And then the running is going to be willpower, right, Mark? Dotson, the whole line, the synergy. And at this time of the year, I mean, it's going to be about who wants to play in the Super Bowl, right? Honestly, it's like you're keeping me away from that. I'm going to give it my all. Like my life depends on it. And I think that's going to be half the battle on in the run game, sincerely. And Kyron, Blake, hold on to that damn football, please. Right?
Yeah, I think our offensive line can get it done in this game, whatever it takes. It's a matter of winning those battles. Our receivers winning those battles, and our tight ends winning those battles down the field.
Yes. Look at, of course, everyone. You can say, Ian, it's not that the Seahawks aren't that basic. I mean, look at, of course, they're not everyone. Will we see disguises? Sure. They'll be looking like they're in cover two and then jump to cover three. Could it look like cover two and then they play man to man? Of course, all that goes down. But I think on the third down stuff, though, Mark, which is really important here, is that they love to stunt crisscross with the pass rushers. Leonard, Byron, Nwosu, Ernest on a blitz. They love to do the crisscross the stunts, and so do we. How does the O-line hold up with that? That's going to be key and critical for those third down situations because they do it almost 50% of the time. And again, I saw some stats, watched some film. All this gets backed up from what I saw with my own two eyes. So it's all just going to be about how they handle all that. And I think they can. It's just, will they do it? Will they do it enough to keep themselves alive and score points? And I think if they do, they got a great shot to win, at least offensively, right, Mark?
Yeah, no, the Rams are going to put some points up. It's they're going to move the ball. They're going to have their opportunities. They just got to finish drives because they're not going to be in the red zone a bunch of times. It's just not going to happen against this defense. So when they get down there, they got to capitalize with 7 points.
Yeah, I agree. And then, hey, I appreciate the fourth down attempts that you believe in the offense, but there's going to be some times where it's like, hey, kick the field goal, man. Let's just get the point. Let's not screw around and give them a possession. And again, the game flow and how things are going to dictate that. But I would be in favor of taking field goals in this game instead of just going for it multiple times on fourth, if it makes sense. And we'll see how the game unfolds, right, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, back to you now, man. Keys to victory on defense. How is this Rams defense going to put together a performance against this offense and play well, perform well? We saw real quick. The first time around, pretty dang good. Red zone was great. Turnovers are great. Second time around, epic collapse. Sam Darnold and them air raided. Kenneth Walker ran well. Tell me, how are we going to be better this time to win the conference championship?
Well, I think the Rams have to decide, you want to make the Seahawks play left-handed, and you want to take away either JSN or you want to make sure you shut down that run game. And I kind of like shutting down the run game and then, make Sam Darnold and JSN beat you. Another side of me says, take away JSN and hope the return of Quentin Lake and, a run defense has been getting a little better. They can take care of business. So I'm not sure what they're going to try to do, but I kind of like the idea of putting the ball in Sam Darnold's hand and making sure we take away the run game. And I'm also concerned, just like last week, I was unfortunately prophetic. I told Bears fans that, a Bear tight end is probably going to make a big play against us. And, AJ Barner seems to have moments against us. Maybe I just remember them more. And then they had the tight end that had the 2-point conversion against us. Don't even remember his name. So, we got to take care of business in that regard. Because AJ Barner seems to have had several moments against us. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. So, I'm not. I guess I'm leaning towards dedicating ourselves to stop. It'd be easy to say, hey, stop Walker and take away JSN. Easier said than done. But I think if you make this game, put it in Sam Darnold's hands. And, I was talking to someone today that has no dog in this fight. And he said, look, if it's about Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold in a tight game in the fourth quarter, and Darnold needs to lead a drive or Stafford needs to lead a drive, who you got? who you got in that situation, and you want it to be, you want it to have to be Sam Darnold, not the run game running it down our throat. So I guess I just talked myself into making the Seahawks play left-handed by taking away their run game and make Sam Darnold and his receiving core beat this Rams secondary.
Yeah, all excellent points. Couldn't agree more on that. And the secondary is the key, isn't it? Like it is every week.
Yeah,
And to my keys to victory on defense, everyone, it starts with them. Let me say this right now. If Roger McCreary is not starting this game, I'm going to be pissed. Watching the film from the Chicago game, everyone, he was fantastic. Now, I know he got his hammy pulled up when he was on special teams, and he seems to be good to go. Wasn't on the injury report. That's great news. He was a trade target for this team. They went out and got him. And in the biggest moments where he's played, he's looked good. And he looked good against Chicago. I think he gave up no catches, no yards, if my memory serves me right on
I
that.
think that's right. Yeah.
And he better start. Also, I better see a rotation of Darius Williams and coin flip on Emmanuel Forbes and Jacoby Durant. Let's just be honest about it. Emmanuel, when he was in there, had some but is it coincidence that he was out? The secondary was better. I know we've seen good stuff from Emmanuel, but he's inconsistent. Same thing with Kobe Durant. He's inconsistent. I think, truthfully, you go with Roger as the number one corner, no doubt about it. Should not even be a discussion in the building. This has to be the case. And then D-Will, Kobe for that other starting spot, and Emmanuel. I think that's up for debate. But based on last game, Kobe Durant maybe should get the start based on his playmaking.
Yeah.
Darius Williams had a good day based on him filling in where he wasn't probably going to get played a ton, and he did a good job. And then do you go back to Emmanuel and hope he'll be playing good football again and maybe not be the bad Emmanuel Forbes that we've seen? Very, very interesting how they're going to do it. But, I mean, Mark, let me ask you that question. We both agree on Roger, but who would you go for the second outside corner to start this game? And, of course, we know they're going to rotate, but who would you go with?
Yeah, I just remember that pick six by D. Will in Seattle, and maybe it's a not a very logical approach, but I'd lean on him for that reason alone. But yeah, Kobe is moments. He rises to the occasion in big moments. So I think D. Will and then Kobe are the guys I'd like to see out there. I feel bad for Forbes because, there was a play early in that game. I don't know. I saw it very clearly, and I don't know if anyone else saw it, where he took the ball carrier on head on and he kind
Hey,
of
you
went
got
down
trucked.
head kind of. Yeah, but it wasn't a bad play on his part. He just got the worst of it. He sold his body out trying to make the play essentially, and he just doesn't have. He's just not stout enough for those situations. That's how I saw it. And then
He's a
I
skinny
think
guy, to be honest,
right. So I think there's situations, certain receivers, certain offensive schemes where he's really valuable, but maybe in this game not so much.
Yeah. So I mean, Rogers got to be the top guy. If that is not the case, and it's because of the coaching decision, and it's not because of his hamstring, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to be pissed, Mark, if he's not out there as our main quarterback, corner one, I should say, or key, CB1. So he deserved it, and he needs to be out there. And hopefully this time around will be a difference in the game. And not that Emmanuel didn't play good against them that first week 11 matchup. And it's not like, he didn't have a bad overall game in that week 16 game, but we don't know what we're going to get from the other guys. But I think Roger, we know what we're going to get. And I better see him out there. Number one point right there. Okay. But then how about in totality? You got to stop the run, of course, just like it was last week, in my opinion. If this Rams front, D linemen, outside linebackers, inside linebackers don't have a game of their lives, they will lose. What happened this last time? In the run game, they had one of the games of their lives, stopping it on third and short, fourth and short, goal line stands, getting pressure, et cetera, et cetera. It has to be the same this time around. They cannot let Kenneth Walker get going, or Halani, or Akers, whoever's going to be back there taking handoffs. Because if we make Sam Darnold have to beat us single handedly, right, with his arm in the passing game, you could say, oh, that's a weakness to our secondary, but Sam's the most turnover prone quarterback. How do you get him to be in turnover situations? By him dropping back, strip sack, running around, making a bad decision, whiffs on a pass, interception, tipped, whatever it is. That's the situation the Rams have to force them to be into, because if they're balanced, it's going to be tough to win this game. Let's just call it what it is. It's going to be incredibly tough if the run game's effective. So everything's got to be on Sam's shoulders. And how do you make that? You earn the right to rush the passer. You got to stop the run. And they got the guys to do it. Puna, the D tackles, rushers. If we get another tackling game from Quinn Lake and Cam Crow like we did this last week, that's going to help a ton, right? Lamon and Omar playing well. It's going to be huge. They have to stop the run first and foremost. Okay, now veering to the passing attack and defending that, Mark, in my opinion. Rams never run man-to-man, okay? If they do, it's usually combo coverage, meaning if you split the field in half, one side of the field's running man and the other side's doing zone. It's usually the only times. And it's not like they haven't done traditional man-to-man or they, don't. But more times than not, Mark, I mean, they're running zone. Like, it feels like 80, 90% of the time they're running zone. And we live and die by that, which, hey, is going to allow throwing lanes in between guys, right? Those soft spots, those windows available for them. That's just the truth. But how they play that's going to be key. And I think they have to disguise a majority of this game. They have to line up like you're going to play cover two, right? Oh, two people are back there. It looks like cover two. And then maybe jump to cover six, jump to cover three, maybe jump to man from time to time. I think they have to play the mind games for the Sam Darnold situation that we're talking about here, making him have to beat us and earn it. Because I think if they just line up in what they're going to run, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. They got talented guys. Cooper's playing better now. Obviously, the tight end group is good. Jackson Smith and Jigba is unguardable most times, more than not. The running back side of the backfield, Sam's scrambling ability. So, yes, we run a lot of cover six, which is that quarter, half. Yes, we run a ton of cover three and cover two, right? Two people deep, three people deep. But it's going to be about how can we disguise all that so it's not, illustrated easily for the quarterback to digest, right, Mark?
Yeah, and it has to be in Sam Darnold's head a little bit too about, man, he's got to be thinking, I can't blow this. I can't blow this. So if you put him in a situation where he's maybe having second thoughts about the coverage he's seeing, gets a little confused, that could really, but through the course of this game, lead to some turnovers and a Rams victory.
Yeah, and then one more thing in terms of pass coverage stuff. I mean, the Rams are pretty good with mixing and matching the personnel. You will see the traditional 3-4. We'll see the I like to call it 3-3, where it's your nose tackle, two D tackles, two outside linebackers like normal, and then you'll have, I guess what you could call it. Yeah, the 3-3. Lineman in the middle by himself and then still go nickel. So you're still defending the run. You still have guys to guard the pass. I think how much and how effective that's going to be is going to dictate a lot, right, Mark? So again, picture everybody, 5 people on the line, 1 linebacker, and then you're a nickel with 5 DBs. That's going to be critical to see how much they deploy that and how good that will turn out for our success. And of course, you'll see the traditional nickel, you'll see dime, and even the cheetah dime, right? Rams love to use that. They've been using that a lot more recently where Landman's not out there, Omar's not out there. You'll see Josiah with Byron, with Verse, with Braden, and with Kobe, with all the other DBs out there. How versatile is that going to be? Are they going to stunt a ton, which they haven't been, the best at getting home to? I mean, the mind games of this is going to be so important. And hopefully Chris Shula sets them up for success. And hopefully the secondary and this entire defense is ready to go, man. Because if they aren't, this is going to be a tough one to win. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah, and you just gave me a homework assignment. I'm going to have to go back and see if the Titans and Seahawks played and McCreary had any matchups with JSN. I think does that lend itself to if these guys have never played against each other? McCurry covering JSN. Is that favor the cornerback or the wide receiver? Would you say?
Say that one more time for me so I digest that properly.
If they've never faced each other,
Yeah,
McCreary
I don't think
and
so. No.
JSN, yeah, if they've never faced each other, does that give the advantage to the cornerback or the wide receiver in a situation like
You know,
that?
I I think it's a split, to be honest with you, because
Yeah.
you don't have like the game experience where Njigo would be like, oh, I can get him on this. Or Roger's like, oh, he got me on that. I better work on, you know what I'm saying? Like there's none of that
Yeah.
on the table. So it's like we're just gonna line up and see what happens. But if I had to guess, I don't think they played each other. I might be wrong on
Yeah.
that, unless their game was earlier in the year. I feel like it was later. I know we pulled
Yeah.
it,
I
but you
mean,
know what?
maybe when he was with the Titans. I don't know if they faced each
Yeah.
other.
Well, we
I'll
have that
take a
right
look
here.
at that.
Let's look at that right now. What week was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did they
Or
play
even
each
in
other?
a previous season.
I thought they played. Yeah, so they played each other in week 12. So I think Roger was
Oh,
with us
Roger
by
was already.
then.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's nothing on the table. Split for that reason. So let's see what happens, Roger. Right? Let's see what goes down for that. So I mean, that's my long keys of victory on defense, everyone. And hopefully, Chris Shula, good game plan. Hopefully, everyone's ready to go to stop the run and disguise in the pass side, and hopefully fool Sam Darnold and lead him to make bad decisions and turn that football over. Excuse me, which he's the number one quarterback in terms of giveaways in the NFL this season. I think that's really important to attack. But all right, Mark, back to you on special teams. I
We don't
think
need to talk. We don't need to talk special teams. We don't
I know.
need. They're unimportant.
Well, if you have one, give it to me.
Oh no, I'm kidding. Well, like
I know.
I think I already. What we need to do, well, what we need to do on special teams is, like you already said, keep the ball out of the returner's hands, and
Yeah.
on the kickoffs, out of the back of the end zone, give it to them at the 35. Take our chances, and I mean, I'm not thrilled with that, but it really maybe I don't know. Maybe the dirty kicks, if we got that nailed down, it might work.
Yeah.
But then on the punt returns, we just got to make sure we're not putting from deep in our own end and just kick the ball the heck out of bounds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of keeping it away from him. But look, if they feel confident with the dirty kicks and that could be executed well, where think about it, everyone. Once that ball hits the landing zone, they can take off. So that time gap between the Rams kickoff team trying to narrow its path to Rashid Shaheed will be closer instead of waiting for him to catch it and then you're taking off at the same time. That's when things get wacky. If the Rams get that advantage, that even if it's a couple seconds advantage where they're running down, Shaheed doesn't have it in his hands yet, that could be a positive. Now, of course, you still got to rally him and get him on the ground, and hopefully he doesn't have
Right.
that he hits it through. But I'm in favor of playing with that scenario if that is an option that Sean McVay, Kadwika, and them feel comfortable with Evans or Mevis, whoever it'll be. But other than that, if that's not going to be on the table and they don't feel good about that, then yeah, you just have to just eat it 35. And we'll see what the weather's like. The weather shouldn't be terrible, hopefully, where, those elements won't be a factor in that aspect of the game. And then, Mark, in terms of the punt stuff, right? Same, keep it away from him. Ethan Evans, kick it high so the hang time is long, so he has to fair catch it, right? Or like he had the do or die punt in that week 11 game, right? Where he kicked it and it landed at the 5-yard line, where that saved probably that game from being a loss. Stuff
Right.
like that. It's going to be up to the leg of Ethan Evans, whether dirty kicks and especially the punts, to really get some good locations on this punts and then some hang time because he got us last time around on a punt return, and that turned the tide to their historic comeback. So,
Yeah, I mean Ethan Evans has overall been pretty good. He has one bad kick on occasion, and hopefully
yeah,
we're not due for one. But I'm confident he can get the job done. They just got to be smart. I think as far as the weather goes, last I looked, it's going to be cool. It's going to be in the 40s probably,
yeah,
but I don't think it's going to be wet, so that's a good thing.
yeah. I mean, the cold, so be it. As long as it's not windy and wet and
All
drizzle and
right.
drain, rain. Hopefully it drains. but that'll be a big factor. And then, I mean, for Mevis, Mark, we'll talk about him. Look at he could have kicked a game-winning field goal last time around, and he missed it, which led to us going to overtime. And we didn't take care of business then. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But Mevis, when he's summoned upon, right, there's going to be some long attempts. Let's just be real about it. There's going to be 40-plus yard field goals, 45, maybe some 50. Now, does Sean McVay trust him to kick those in that situation? We shall see. But if he is summoned upon, he's got to make them. He has to. Any missed field goals narrows this chance of winning and advancing to the Super Bowl significantly, in my opinion. So, whole operation, right? Snap, hold, kick, all be fluid. And of course, the protection, don't get blown up, right?
Yeah, and I was trying to decide if, when we had the ball in field goal position against the Bears and Stafford took a couple of deep shots, risky shots, in my opinion. Was that because they're just gunslinging it, or was that because
It's the mentality they have, man?
I don't, or is it partly because they didn't want to turn it over to Mevis? McVay said he had total confidence, but I'm not so sure with those the passes to Parkinson and Ferguson at the end there. Maybe I'm wrong. But one thing we have to know for sure is that Mevis has to be feeling a little more confident right now, and the Rams have to feel
I agree.
a little bit more confident in him. So that's a good thing. Hopefully,
Yep.
It's a good thing. Hopefully, it's well-placed confidence.
Yeah. I mean, look you kicked a game-winning field goal in a playoff game that you were going to choke away. And luckily, Bears made more mistakes than you, and you capitalized on it. And that should be tons of confidence for the thicker kicker, Mevis. So hopefully that will carry over to this game when he's going to kick field goals, everyone. Let's unless Rams just suddenly turn into the greatest offense in history and they just start scoring on every drive, not going to happen. Field goals are going to be needed, and hopefully Mevis and the whole kicking operation and the punting operation protect well, and everyone gets them off clean and crisp and accurate. Punt and kick, obviously, with Mevis. So there you go, everyone. Those are our keys to victory: offense, defense, special teams, and hopefully all those things come true that lead to a victory, right, Mark?
Yeah. Can't. I was going to say I can't wait. I don't know. Maybe I can wait. This is going to be, man. This season's been something else, and I have a feeling this game is going to be another barn burner. Not a barn burner like in high scoring, but just stressful. Another 3 hours, possibly 3.5 hours, the way these two teams play, of total stress. Hopefully the Rams can come out on top, man. It would be so sweet to get to another Super Bowl.
My God, I know. And then with that said, what's your early score prediction to get to that Super Bowl?
Well, I took an analytic approach that has no mathematical logic behind it. Over the course of their history, as I said, the Seahawks have scored 1,223 points in this series. The Rams have scored 1,222. The Seahawks have one more win than the Rams, and I think at the end of this game, they're going to be dead even in points and dead even wins losses. The Rams win by 1 point, 24-23.
Yeah, I would be.
And let me say one other thing before you go is, I know it's social media, and I know people love their teams, and I know love people just to troll and get start arguments. But if you're a Ram fan and you are 100% confident the Rams are going to go in and win this game, just stop it. And same for the Seahawks. If you think the Seahawks have this in the bag, I'm sorry, this game could go either way. It's going to be close. No one's getting blown out in this game. I'd be really surprised if that happened. It's going to come down to a couple of key plays over the course of this game. And I have no idea who's going to win, but I'm predicting a Rams 1 point victory.
Ooh, baby. Look it. So be it. I'll take it. As long as you win by 1, win by 0.5. I know it's not possible, but whatever. I'm in by the decimal point. Who gives a damn, right? But okay, everyone, I'm getting to my score here, and Rams win, of course. I'm really crazy. We're picking Rams to lose here in NFC Championship. I got 26-23. What? How do I get there? You can say that's a very odd score, Ian. I think Rams are going to end up kicking a lot of field goals. It just feels that way to me. probably what, 4 field goals and a couple touchdowns, which equals this 26 score. So again, 3 plus 3
Right.
plus 3 plus 3, it's 4 threes plus a couple sevens in that. That's where I get to the 26, in case you're wondering how I came up with that. And then 23 for the Seahawks, as they'll score their touchdowns, but I think they'll also have to kick a bunch of field goals. But I think that one field goal difference could be the deciding factor, whether it be earlier in the game. Maybe Mevis has to kick one late in the fourth to put us up. However you want to slice it, I think a field goal is going to be the difference. 3 points or less. Look at whether it's 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, or even a full touchdown. I'd be shocked if Rams win by 10 or more, double digits. That would be very shocking to me. Would love it, but I think we're going to get a heavy field goal fest. There'll be some touchdowns, of course, but 26-23, a lot of field goals, and I think one field goal is likely to be the difference for this game, Mark.
Yeah, a lot of field goals. That makes sense. And as long as it doesn't come down to a 2-point conversion, I've had my fill of 2-point conversions from the Seattle Seahawks. But maybe if they try one, we'll have it figured out by this time. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't come down to that. I like your score though.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. My God, everyone. But there you go. Some early score predictions. Again, we're not 100% sure who will be available for Seattle. Guys off IR. Is Cross going to play? Et cetera, et cetera. Rams, we're hoping everyone's good to go. All right. Byron with his knee. Roger with the hammy. Quinn Lake with his wintertime cold, probably from playing in the cold not that long ago. I'm sure that had something to do with it out in Chicago. So seems like we're going to get a healthy matchup, and it's just a juggernaut game. DVOA says it's the best matchup in 47 years. The casual NFL fan says this is the real Super Bowl, which is crazy. There's still a game to be played out there in Northern California in a couple of weeks. But man, oh man, everyone, I'm excited. I know you are too, Mark.
Yeah, and man, we've been talking all year long. Win a Super Bowl in Santa Clara.
Cheers.
That would just make it extra special. Let's make it happen.
It would. It's and whether Niners fans want to, admit this or not, I mean, Seattle's going to play in your stadium next week or the Rams, and they both have a serious chance to host that Lombardi Trophy in your spot, which is crazy.
Yeah. And they got a good rivalry with the Seahawks, obviously, too.
Yeah. So it's going to be a game for the ages, I believe, and I'm hoping for an ass kicking in our direction or no ass kicking at all, right? And I mean that Rams kick their ass, not the opposite of around, if I said that wrong. But man, oh man, guys, if you're going to watch it by yourself, do whatever Magic Rams juju needs to be done to get our team to win. If you're watching it with friends and family, hopefully everyone's in a good, positive mindset that Sunday as well. And look, if you haven't been to a watch party, I know SoFi Stadium's going to be available. The Rams are hosting a watch party, I think for $10 a ticket to go see that game in SoFi, in the stands on the jumbo screen. I forgot exactly the proper name for it. Apologies on that. And there are going to be plenty of fans there for that. I'm sure tickets are just flying off the shelves, you could say, the internet shelves. But if you can't make that, go to a watch party, everyone. Whether that be with SoCal Rams, who I was with last time, or it would be World Tour Rams, any of the other guys I'm blanking on. There are tons of watch parties all throughout LA County, plenty in Orange County, some in the desert as well, I believe. Get together with your fellow Rams fans. And again, if you don't want to, be by yourself, be with family. Hopefully you're in a positive mindset for this Rams team to win. But whatever you got to do to be in a good mood and celebrate, do it. Right, Mark?
Absolutely. And yeah, just I got a good feeling about this game. I think the Rams are well positioned to win, and just going to kick back and enjoy it as best I can. Keeping the blood pressure down as long as I can. Do some scoreboard push-ups for good luck, and hope for the best.
Yep, I'm gonna be a nervous wreck that whole game, but so be it. That's the beautiful theater of football. Again, hoping my team advances to the Super Bowl, and I think if you're not nervous, you don't care enough, right? At least to some degree. Right. In your gut. I think that's perfectly okay. And maybe I'll have a lot, but I'll be okay. But I mean, hey, everyone, whether you're a Rams fan, you're a Seahawks fan tuning in, or a fan of NFL content, you just want to hear from opposing fan bases, we appreciate you tuning in. If you like our content, subscribe to the channel, like the video, turn on the notification bell so all this content can be shared. You don't miss anything. If you're on the audio only, podcast only side of things, share the audio, share the podcast. I mean, any of those options, guys, any of them, we very much appreciate. Helps other Rams fans see our content, NFL fans, Seahawks fans. And game on, everyone. A trip to the Super Bowl 60 out there in Northern California is on the line. And yeah, we're betting on our guys in blue and yellow. And man, I hope for a good one, right, Mark?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Rams get back to the Super Bowl.
Yep. And it'd be a great thing to enjoy. So no matter where you are, rep your blue and gold, rep it proud, rep it loud, and always throw up those horns, and you know what to say. Go Rams.